The sun was beginning to dip below the horizon, painting the Portuguese coastline in golden hues that shimmered across the waves. The setting was almost unreal. A private yacht gently rocking with the sea breeze, dolphins occasionally leaping in the distance as if rehearsed, and a sky so picturesque it could have been filtered. Cristiano Ronaldo, dressed in an open white linen shirt, sat alone on the edge of the deck, staring at a small velvet box in his hand. It was no ordinary box. Inside it sat a ring so expensive it could probably fund a small country's education system, but Cristiano wasn't worried about the money. He was worried about the moment. For the first time in years, the most composed athlete in the world was nervous. Really nervous. His heart was beating faster than it had before any final, and his palms were sweaty in the most inconvenient way. He whispered to himself, trying to psych himself up. Just say it. Simple, smooth. You've faced thousands of defenders. You can face one woman. But Georgina Rodriguez was no ordinary woman. As if on cue, she walked onto the deck, barefoot, wearing a flowing red dress that danced with the sea wind. Her presence alone was enough to throw Cristiano off rhythm, as it often did. She looked effortlessly beautiful, confident, playful, and sharper than anyone ever gave her credit for. Sitting next to him, she looked out at the sea with a calm smile. Noticing the strange, jittery energy radiating off him like steam from a hot kettle, Cristiano tried to act casual, talking nonsense about ocean air and core strength, hoping she wouldn't notice the tiny box he had now clumsily hidden behind a cushion. But Georgina, of course, noticed everything. She played along, teasing him gently, watching him squirm like a boy with a school crush. There was something disarmingly hilarious about seeing the great Cristiano Ronaldo trip over his own words like a teenager on prom night. He was sweating bullets not because of the sun, which had started to cool, but because of the weight of the moment. Everything was supposed to be perfect. The string quartet in the corner currently tuning, the chef preparing seafood below deck. Even the dolphins, yes, he may or may not have scheduled a marine life moment at sunset, but somehow, Georgina had managed to flip the entire script without saying much. She always had that power. When the velvet box inevitably slipped out and landed on the deck, Cristiano froze. It was like the whistle before a penalty kick. No turning back. Georgina casually picked it up and, with the coolness of someone who'd seen through this act hours ago, opened it without surprise. What did surprise Cristiano, however, was her reaction. Instead of gasping or tearing up, she smiled. A calm, knowing smile that said far more than words ever could. And then she revealed something that hit him harder than any header ever could. It was her ring. The same one she had bought months ago, which she'd hidden, waiting for him to catch up emotionally. She even had it engraved with a cheeky message. Property of Georgina. Try again, if lost. Cristiano was stunned. All this time, he thought he was leading this romantic mission. Turns out, Georgina had been 3 steps ahead the entire time. She had already proposed, just silently, in her own way. She gave him space, gave him time, and let him arrive at the decision himself. All while holding the answer in her drawer, like a secret she knew would eventually reveal itself. In that moment, their dynamic shifted, not in power, but in understanding. He laughed, half shocked, half impressed. She laughed louder, playfully claiming that he was now officially accepting her original proposal, and she was graciously accepting his late one. It was absurd, hilarious, and deeply romantic in the most unpredictable way. They stood there, facing each other, the ocean behind them, fireworks accidentally going off to early a trigger error from the crew, and a dolphin leaping as if choreographed. It was chaos and beauty, just like them. They were equals, not in fame or followers, but in love, in wit, and in patience. Cristiano asked her one last thing as they both stared at the ring now on her finger. Had she really trained the dolphins? She laughed and whispered, "No, babe, I trained you." And that, as far as first chapters go, was the beginning of a love story that no sports journalist could ever predict. One where the goal wasn't scored by feet, but by hearts outmaneuvering each other in the most delightful way. By the next morning, the internet had exploded, not with football highlights, but with rumors. A single blurry photo of Ronaldo and Georgina on the yacht had surfaced online, and in it, a sharp-eyed fan had zoomed in on a certain shiny object on her finger. The caption read, "Engaged. Who proposed, Ronaldo or Georgina?" Within hours, every gossip site, sports, news channel, and fan page across continents had picked up the story. And like always, no one knew the full truth, which only made it worse. Theories flooded social media. Some claimed Ronaldo finally grew up and proposed like a classic gentleman. Others insisted Georgina had pulled the boldest move in celebrity couple history. The hashtag who proposed first trended #1 in 17 countries. Back at home, Georgina was calmly sipping her orange juice, scrolling through memes of herself photoshopped in a football kit proposing to Ronaldo. At midfield, across the table, Ronaldo looked mildly traumatized. "I've scored 800 goals," he muttered, staring at the screen. "I've lifted the Champions League 5 times. But somehow, I'm trending because people think I was proposed to like a Disney princess." Georgina didn't even flinch. "To be fair, I did kind of set that up." "You didn't kind of set it up," he said, waving a newspaper with the headline, "Cristiano Ronaldo, the GOAT who said yes." She grinned. "You're welcome. The press needed something fresh. And now you've officially joined history. Men everywhere will thank you." Ronaldo groaned, but the truth was, he secretly loved it. It was the first time the media had painted him as the emotional one, the one caught off guard by love. And even though his ego had taken a small hit, his heart was oddly content. What Georgina had done wasn't just bold, it was smart. It was funny, and it was so her. But things were just getting started. That afternoon Ronaldo's mother called, and by called, it meant she FaceTimed 5 times in a row until he finally picked up. "Cristiano," she yelled in Portuguese, "why am I seeing this on TV and not from you?" He tried to explain. "Me, it's complicated. I was going to propose, but she proposed to you." She gasped dramatically. What happened to tradition? What happened to men being men? From the background, Georgina called out, "Tell her I got tired of waiting." His mother's eyes widened. "She's there." Georgina popped into the frame with a huge smile. "Hi, Mama Ah." Surprisingly, his mother softened instantly. "You know what? I like her. At least she takes initiative." "You've been dodging this since Euro 2016. Ronaldo's jaw dropped. "Et2, me." Later that day, the couple found themselves at a cafe in Madrid, trying to hide from paparazzi under baseball caps and sunglasses. Didn't work. Not even for a second. One fan shouted across the plaza, "Georgina, for Ballon d'Or of Love." Another handed her a bouquet, with a note, "Thank you for proposing first. You gave us all hope." A guy in a Real Madrid jersey even bowed before Ronaldo and said, "Respect, King. You got proposed to by a queen." He added a wink before walking away. Cristiano had never felt more emotionally confused. He was being adored, roasted, praised, and mocked all in one breath. Back at home that evening, the couple sat in silence for a while. Not awkward silence, the good kind. The kind that lives between two people who've shared something unexplainable. Georgina looked at him, smiling gently. "You okay with this?" she asked. He nodded. "Honestly, yeah, it's wild. But I've been breaking records my whole life. Might as well break stereotypes too." She leaned on his shoulder. "So we're agreed. We both proposed." "No," he said, mock seriously. "You proposed. I accepted, then re-proposed. It's a tie." "Perfect," she replied. Like penalties, but with feelings. Outside their window, the world buzzed with. One morning, while Ronaldo was jogging along the quiet trail behind his old house, the same route he used to run as a barefoot kid, he realized something strange. He wasn't obsessing over training, or trophies, or legacy. His mind was replaying Georgina's laugh from last night when she tried and failed to make Portuguese soup. He found himself smiling like a teenager in love. Later that evening, they went for a walk in the hills above the city. No photographers, no crowds, just them. Georgina wore one of his hoodies and kept stealing sips from his water bottle. She never stopped teasing him about his perfectly arranged sock drawer, his mirror obsession, or how he still watched his own goals on YouTube. But as they sat on a rock overlooking the island lights, Georgina turned serious. Not sad, not worried, just quiet. "I never thought I'd propose to someone," she said softly. "It wasn't planned, I just did it, because waiting felt like wasting." Cristiano didn't speak for a moment. Then, pulling something from his pocket, he placed a small folded paper in her hand. It was old, slightly wrinkled. Inside, in his handwriting, was a short message. "Was going to ask you after my next match, but I guess you scored first. Either way, I win." She looked at him, surprised. "You were really going to?" He nodded, "with fireworks, and a drone, and dolphins. The whole thing." She burst out laughing again, and he joined her. That's what their love was now, laughter layered over deep affection. No scripts, no choreography. Just two people who had unknowingly written the same story from opposite ends. They didn't announce a wedding date. They didn't plan a grand ceremony. Instead, they decided to take a small vacation to the Azores, away from everything. It was there, on a quiet morning by a waterfall, that Georgina pulled out her phone, turned to Ronaldo, and said, "Smile." He raised an eyebrow. "Why?" "Because." She grinned. "I just posted, so, ... Who's going to propose for the second time?" Within 30 minutes, chaos erupted again online. The proposal, part 2. Ronaldina reverse Uno continues, the couple that keeps breaking the internet this time. Though, it wasn't shocking, it was hilarious. People were invested. Fans demanded a reality show. Companies offered sponsorships for their wedding. Netflix offered a limited series. Someone even created a video game titled Propose or Be Proposed to. Cristiano laughed so hard he nearly dropped the phone. "You really are unstoppable," he said. Georgina leaned her head on his shoulder. "It's not a competition." He smiled. "But if it were," she nudged him, "I'd still win." And just like that, with no fancy music, no red carpet, no dramatic kiss under a chandelier, their love found its rhythm. Not through one perfect moment, but through a million imperfect, playful, honest ones. They were lovers, best friends, teammates, and co-conspirators. In a romantic comedy no screenwriter could have ever crafted. Who proposed first? At this point, it didn't matter. What mattered was that both had chosen each other. Twice, loudly, boldly, and with just the right amount of mischief. And as the sun dipped behind the cliffs once again, the world watched, laughed, loved, and learned something new about love, that sometimes, the greatest goal isn't scored in a stadium. It's scored when two people drop their pride, lift their hearts, and say, "Let's do this together."